Shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, just some social shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this beat myself, so hear me. I mean, like, we can pull that clown shit away. This some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah, it's in their bones, the thugs in harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converse with only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
Big up, what's going on, peeps? We are back in the building. We're here for the Merseyside derby preview. Guys, as always, man, make sure you are smashing that like button for me, please. So this is the last derby game at Goodison Park before they move, of course, into their new home. I believe it's from next season, and that they'll be moving into that. So obviously, big occasion, big occasion for both teams. If I'm being super honest, you know, Liverpool obviously coming into this game looking for victory after their defeat to Plymouth at the weekend. Everton also lost as well to Bournemouth 2-0, but you know, this is a big game for them just because it's the last game, you know, the last Merseyside derby, should I say, at Goodison Park. So, yeah, man, it's going to be big all round, evening kickoff, you know, under the lights, all of that kind of good stuff. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting to see, you know, kind of how the game really, you know, pans out, you know, should I say. Obviously, taking a look at Everton, this is just a predicted lineup that they might potentially, you know, kind of go with. And listen, look, under David Moyes especially, I think one of the things I would say about Everton is that they have been a good unit of a team in terms of going forward and you know, defensively. You know, to be fair, maybe even a little bit before David Moyes obviously came in. But I would say, yeah, since he's kind of come in, you know, to the building, I just do, you know, sorry, I just ate some food. I do think, you know, you can see what he's trying to do. And it's so funny because watching him at West Ham, I always used to feel, you know what, the players that they've got over at West Ham, you know, I don't feel like he's getting the maximum really out of them, you know, in terms of they've got very, very good players, Paquetas, you know, the Goodisons and, you know, players of that kind of ilk, Salers and stuff like that in their team and a bit more flair in their team. When I look at this team here, you know, you look at the lineup without being disrespectful, I mean, there's not really much there, if I'm being honest with you. But what you can say is that this is a hard-working team. That's something I would say. You know, listen, look, they've got obviously ENDZ over there on that left-hand side. I like Brantford. I think he's a good defender, you know, as well. Mykolenko, I also think is a good fullback, you know, decent at what he's, you know, what he's all about, you know, being able to get up and down the field, but also provide that width and also get balls into the box. You know, that might be something that they potentially try and do, you know, against Liverpool. And of course, if you've got Beto up top as well, these kind of things, you know, can possibly help. And I think that's the way I'm looking at them more so. You know, I spoke about this on ENDZ channel, is that, yeah, I don't think it's so much about the individuals when it comes to Everton. It is going to be a team, like a real team effort. They don't have that standout player, you know, who's going to come in and, you know, do this and that and the third. Listen, anything can happen. But if I'm just looking at it on the face of it, I don't really see that with Everton. It is going to be about, you know, the team, you know, in itself. When we're looking at like the injuries, you can see here, obviously Liverpool only got 3 so far. And we did hear Arne Slot talking in his press conference about Trent Alexander-Arnold. So he might actually be available for the game. So this could obviously change. Gomez, obviously, we know is out, and Tyler Morton out as well. For Everton, they've got quite a few injuries. When I saw, you can see here Coleman, McNeil, Mangala, Broja, Calvert-Lewin, Shamiti as well. You know, they've got quite a few players, I would say, who would probably be in their starting lineup. Definitely Calvert-Lewin. If Calvert-Lewin wasn't available, then Broja, I feel, would be, you know, potentially in that starting 11. Dwight McNeil, 1,000,000%. You know, he'd be in that as well. So, yeah, they are missing a few players. They are missing a few players heading into this game. So they're not as strong as probably they would, of course, like to be, you know, when you do come up against Liverpool. Obviously, looking here, this is obviously our last few fixtures against Everton. I mean, the last one didn't make for great reading, but on the whole, I mean, listen, look, we lost 2-0. That was an absolutely poor game by Liverpool standards, you know, last season. But prior to that, look, 2-0, 2-0, 0-0, 2-0, 4-1. So we do usually slap Everton. I say slap. We do beat Everton. That 4-1 obviously being quite a high scoreline. But yeah, 2-0, 2-0. That's kind of the theme that I'm kind of going to go with for this game anyway. When you do look at the form of both teams, kind of they're in really and truly in similar form. If I'm being honest with you, I mean, I mean, it's the same form, but Everton have won 3 in a row. Liverpool have only won 2 in a row in that 5-game span, but they both lost 2 games within 5. So yeah, they're coming into this in similar form. I'll be honest with you. Everton getting that real good victory against Brighton, 1-0 away. That's a really, really good victory for them. 3-2 against Spurs as well. Only losing 1-0 out to Aston Villa. So again, they're not. They're not get wiped, as it kind of looked like at the beginning of the season. Liverpool, of course, coming off the back of that 1-0 defeat to Plymouth, 4-0 against Spurs, 2-0 against Bournemouth, which was a very good win, 3-2 defeat to, PSV, and then the 4-1 victory against Ipswich. And yeah, I think, listen, we spoke quite a lot on my previous stream, talking about, the Plymouth game and stuff like that. I'm not going to harp on about it, but there is a little bit of a theme when it does come to when Arne Slot does rotate the squad in terms of putting out the weaker 11, so to speak, the B team or C team or however you kind of want to articulate that. But it's just one of those things, unfortunately, when Liverpool don't necessarily have their strongest squad out, or strongest 11, should I say, doesn't always make for best reading, so to speak. So listen, this time round, I don't think that's going to be the case. Liverpool obviously will have a strong squad. Currently top of the league. Well, I say currently, we're going to be top of the league regardless of what happens, in the Merseyside derby. But, there's a 30-point swing between the two teams, 30-plus goal difference between the two teams as well. Everton only won 6 games, drawn 8. Liverpool have only lost the 1 game. So really, Liverpool, of course, as we know, they're going to come into this, massive favourites, man. And you can see here a couple of the stats and stuff like that. Everton have scored 8 in their last 5. Everton and Liverpool have not drawn any of their last 3 matches against each other. Better has more shots on target per match for Everton. So he gets about 1.4 per game. Liverpool have scored 12 in their last 5. Have kept the most clean sheets in the competition with 10. And Mo Salah is the competition's top goal scorer. So, yeah, the omens say that Liverpool should really be winning this game. And I think one of the main things that I said was that if you're going to come into this type of game and you're trying to win a Premier League title, I've seen City go there, look on the hunt for a Premier League title and win, in previous seasons. We've got to do the exact same. I know it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be really emotional and all that kind of crap. But the reality is, I've said it before and I say it again, and I genuinely believe it. Play the game, not the occasion. Of course, the occasion is going to be the occasion purely because it's the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. But for me, don't worry about that. For me, that's not important. Ultimately, it's not our last Merseyside derby. So we need to come into this focused and ready to go. A lot of the lads have had a rest already. Obviously, didn't play at the weekend. Some did played absolutely poorly from what I hear. So there's going to be a lot of, players coming back in, the Gravenberchs, Van Dijks, Konates, Salah and stuff like that. We're going to come back in and it's about continuing where they kind of left off. Now you've had that break. Is that going to do good? Who knows? Of course, we'll see tomorrow. Liverpool do start off relatively sluggish, when certain players especially, but when they've kind of had a bit of a break. So hopefully that doesn't work against us. I know Everton have had relatively fast starts in recent games. So yeah, it's going to be one of those. And that's why I'm like, make sure you play the game, not the occasion. Because once you get swept up in it, yeah, it could be one of those things that kind of knock you off guard a little bit, kind of thing. So we'd have to, of course, wait and see. Obviously, Danger Man here, as I said before, is going to be in die. He's got 6 goals in the Premier League so far. Obviously, Salah on 21, so it's a bit of a 15-goal swing there anyway. But yeah, I think he's definitely a threat for them, especially if they play on the counter and stuff like that. I feel like he could be a threat. But I'm more intrigued at trying to figure out as to how David Moyes is going to actually, set themselves up in this type of game, in terms of obviously trying to stop Liverpool. Ultimately, Liverpool have obviously got a better team, tactics and stuff like that. I feel like, we're quite spot on, but there is a recipe to stifle Liverpool. Has been for a very long time, for years, 5-6 years, if I'm being totally honest with you. And it's still continued till this day, where if you can just frustrate them, Liverpool showed they don't really have many answers. We've not really had any answers. I don't feel like we have the players for that anyway. And until we do get those kind of players who can unlock that, then we're going to continuously keep coming up against these low blocks and things like that and not being able to necessarily penetrate them and then becoming quite impatient, thereafter, which is what I see quite a lot when teams obviously stifle Liverpool, and add to the fact that we're not really that clinical in terms of we'll have 100 shots and may only score 1 or 2, kind of thing. So again, that leads to its own problems potentially, in these kind of games. But it all depends on, I feel, the way that Everton play or the way that Everton set up. I think they're going to be the ones who more so dictate, in my opinion, as to the outcome, of this game. But listen, we'll just have to wait and see. This is obviously a lineup. It was a predicted lineup, but I think I would go with the same 11. Maybe Tsimikas on Robbo potentially change, but other than that, the back line exactly the same. In midfield, you've got obviously McAllister and Gravenberch. Agree with that. Gakpo, Szoboszlai, and Salah with Diaz up top. If not Diaz, then I'll go with Diogo Jota. I think one of the two should start this game. And yeah, Liverpool. I just feel like as long as Liverpool play their game, I really don't. Don't want to jinx it, but I don't envisage too many problems. If I'm being totally honest with you, like I just think that if you just play the game, you should be fine. Like you should generally be fine. But I know football doesn't work that way, and things happen, and etc. etc. But yeah, I just think that Liverpool should come out of this, I think, with a 2-0 victory. In a game like this, that's what I'm going to go with anyway for this. And I think what is going to happen is we're going to put in a real professional performance. But like I said, it all comes down to the lads, how they kind of approach the game, and how they kind of go at it. If they go at it with that kind of mentality of, yeah, it's just Everton, blah blah blah, then you'll lose. Ultimately, the same thing happened against Plymouth, so it can easily happen again. So I do think that the lads do need to just as long as they've got their head on a swivel, as I like to say, then I think they'll be good to go. But as I say, I envisage Liverpool winning 2-0. So I will be extremely shocked and disappointed if that doesn't happen. What I don't want is also excuses if it does happen. Just like we had against Plymouth, which is a lot of excuses and a lot of this, that, and the thirds, when the reality is Liverpool just poor. Do you know what I mean? Liverpool generally just poor on the day. Certain people didn't turn up. Fair enough. We sometimes you just got to take that L. It is what it is, at the end of the day. So yeah, let's wait and see, of course. Let me know, of course, your predictions in the comment section, people, in regards to the game, Merseyside derby. I should be back potentially for match reaction later on the next day. But yeah, man, hopefully we get that victory. We can take the piss down there. That's what I really want. I want us to take the piss when we go down to Goodison Park and absolutely bop them off the park. So let's hope that happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people, and I'll catch you soon.